Okay, I'm here. Good morning, everybody. Ah, I can't believe I accidentally closed that. So let me see if I can. Oh, that's not it. All right. Well, I will try to find it later on. Basically, what it's boiling down to an article posted by Cranstonstein this morning. Yes, I do read Cranstonstein's diatribes on occasion, and posted this one because I had to deal with Pam Bondi. Evidently, Pam Bondi's got all her stuff in a blind trust. Well, the day before or the day of, let's say within 24 hours of Trump announcing the tariffs, Pam Bondi's blind trust sold between $1 to $5 million worth of stock in Trump's DJT media group. And of course, after Trump announced, or according to Krassenstein, like I said, this just came out a little bit ago. I haven't had a chance to look into it. According to Krassenstein, shortly after Trump had made that announcement, his stock tanked. So Pam Bondi actually did that. Okay. And she used insider information to dump that stock. Then I've got issues with it. Okay. That's why stuff are supposed to be in a blind stock, blind trust. I'm sure there'll be investigation into it. I'm sure the left will do what they do, totally ignore things that they should be looking into and ignore things they shouldn't. But again, that is what the left is infamous for doing. Okay. Anyway. Let's see here. What do I got going on here first? Let's talk about this guy here. This gentleman here, which goes by the name of Amar Mohammed Saeed. Okay, I forgot to mute that so I didn't blast my own eardrums out. He was arrested by the FBI yesterday. And why was he arrested? Well, let's take a look at the Justice Department's website. Michigan man arrested and charged with attempting to attack military base on behalf of ISIS. Now, that doesn't sound good at all. ISIS still, people said ISIS has been destroyed. Well, we all know that is not true. You cannot destroy a belief. And when you destroy the groups that support the belief, which is never a bad thing. You still have those outliers sitting there that want to do everything they can. And they want to help out these groups. And that is what is happening here. A Melvin Dale Mann, former member of the Michigan Army National Guard, was arrested today after he attempted to carry out a plan to conduct a mass shooting at a U.S. military base in Warren, Michigan, on behalf of the Islamic State of Iraq and Al-Sham, a foreign terrorist organization. Amar Abdulmahid Mohammed Saeed, 19, is charged in the criminal complaint. Hey, morning, Data. Is charged with planning a deadly attack. Okay, criminal complaint with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization and distributing information related to a destructive device. The defendant, and I'm going to say his name, Saeed, is charged with planning a deadly attack on U.S. military base here at home for ISIS, said Sue J. Bay, head of the Justice Department's National Security Division. Thanks to the tireless efforts of law enforcement, we foiled the attack before lives were lost. We will not hesitate to bring the full force of the department to find and prosecute those who seek to harm our men and women in the military and to protect all Americans. Yada, 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 yada. That's thrown into every speech they give. My throat's a bit sore this morning, guys, so I'll be taking breaks to sip on some honey-laced liquids. ISIS is a brutal terrorist organization. Yeah, brutal, so brutal. They put people in cages, drench them down with gasoline, then set them on fire. And stand around and watch them burn to death. That's what ISIS is like. Helping ISIS or any other terrorist organization to prepare or carry out acts of violence is not only a reprehensible crime, it is a threat to our entire nation and way of life. Our office will not tolerate such crimes or threats and will use the full weight of law against anyone who engages in terrorism. Unfortunately, as we know, it's only certain forms of terrorism that these people will do this to, depending on who's in office. The defendant allegedly tried to carry out an attack on military facility in support of ISIS, which was disrupted thanks to the good work of the FBI and our partners. The FBI is steadfast in our commitment to detect and stop terrorist plans aimed at the American homeland or U.S. interests overseas. Again, while this is not particularly the article to be critical of the FBI, We know the FBI has, in certain cases, when it comes to quote unquote domestic terrorism, there have been almost as many, if not more, members of the groups which were FBI agents or confidential informants, CIs, than there were actual members of the group who weren't FBI agents or CIs. Let's take a look at that group that had planned to kidnap Whitlis, Governor Whitlis there of Michigan. Let's look at who actually led the charge on January 6th. So, but that's beside the point. The arrest of this former soldier is a sobering reminder of the importance of our counterintelligence efforts to identify and disrupt those who seek to harm our nation. I commend the tireless work of our special agents and FBI partners who work together to investigate and apprehend this individual. We'll continue to collaborate with our partners to prevent similar incidents in the future. We urge all soldiers to remain vigilant and report suspicious activity to their chain of command. As the safety and security of our Army and our nation depends on our collective efforts. All right. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes here of what happened, of what was going on. We got past all the glad handing and back patting that's going on. According to the complaint, Saeed informed 2 undercover law enforcement officers of a plan he devised and formulated to conduct a mass shooting at the U.S. Army's Tank, Automotive, and Armaments Command facility at the Detroit Arsenal in Warren, Michigan. I got mute here for a second. Okay, I'm back. Let me see. Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. I am muted. In April of 2025, 2 undercover officers indicated they intended to carry out Saeed's plan at the direction of ISIS. I'm sure it'll come out at the trial, but exactly how or why was Saeed talking to undercover law enforcement officers? Okay, there's backstory here I want to know. 19 years old. Go back up here to the top. This guy is 19 years old, and he's a former member of this organization, of the Army. Former member of the Michigan Army National Guard at 19. That means he was in there for less than a year. He was a former soldier. He was there for less than a year. You can't join until you're 18. So let's say he joined on his 18th birthday. Let's say he was almost getting ready to turn 20 here because he's 19 years old. So really, let's make this the maximum time. So if he joined on his 18th birthday and left for basic training there soon after, spent his 8 weeks in basic training, then whatever time at his tech school, he still ended up spending less than a year doing the actual job. Why was he discharged? Okay, I mean, what had he done? What had led to him being discharged from the Army National Guard? I mean, they signed for 2 4-year terms. They signed up to a 2-year, 4-year, or 6-year term. So he didn't even complete a 2-year term. What had he done during his duty time to cause him to get out and at 19 be known as a former soldier? What had he done that undercover law enforcement were in contact with him to the point that he would disclose to them that he had devised a plan to do a mass shooting? None of this happens by accident. And there's got to be something going on. There's a lot of stuff, and I hope it comes out at the trial, if not before. Some answers to some of these questions. In April of 2025, 2 undercover officers indicated they intended to carry out Saeed's plan at the direction of ISIS. In response, Saeed provided material assistance to the plan, including providing armor-piercing ammunition and magazines for the attack, flying his drone over the TACOM to conduct operational reconnaissance, training the undercover employees on firearms and the construction of Molotov cocktails for use during the attack, and planning numerous details of the attack as to how to enter TACOM and which building to target. At 19, this guy's getting armor-piercing ammunition and magazines for the armor-piercing he didn't provide the firearms; she just provided the magazines and the armor-piercing ammunition. He flew a drone over it. Now that's a federal crime right there, flying a drone over a military installation. That's a federal crime right there. Training the undercover employee at 19 years old. Exactly how much training has he had? Again, what is in this guy's background that they're not telling, that's yet to be disclosed to the population, to the rest of us? On May 13th, the scheduled day of the attack, Saeed was arrested after he traveled to an area near TACOM and launched his drone in support of the attack plan. Today's the 15th. So day before yesterday was supposed to have been the attack. There's questions here. Hey, morning, Digi. There's questions here. He'll make his initial appearance today. That was yesterday in the Eastern District of Michigan. The U.S. Attorney's Office will be asking the court to hold Saeed in pretrial detention because of his danger to the community and a risk that he will flee. Yeah. Based on the charges and the complaint, Saeed faces maximum penalties in prison for each count if convicted. I imagine there's at least a dozen that counts. Oh, wow. I am so sorry to hear that, Digi. Yeah, I can understand that, being under a lot of stress. Believe me. So I'm going to want to keep an eye out for this guy here on this case, because a 19-year-old man having access to armor piercing, a 19-year-old man who was in the Army, I keep saying air, but Army National Guard, then kicked out or discharged. I don't know if he was kicked out or not. I couldn't find anything given the background on him this morning, but I didn't have a whole lot of time to do a in-depth research on him. But yeah, there's questions here. There's a lot of questions. Why did he target the base? I mean, what was he, had he been assigned to that base and they made him mad? He was mad at them for him being discharged? I'm anytime you have somebody like this, a situation like this, there's a lot more questions than there are answers. And I'm kind of curious as to what happened. What's going on with this guy? I'm trying to do another quick search on him to see if anything else comes up, if anything more recent has been said about him. And there's nothing there less than 23 hours old. And let's go past 24 hours. Okay, here's one that's 14 hours old. Let's see if there's anything new in this, because I'd like to know a lot more of this backstory on this guy. Okay. According to the public affairs officer for the Michigan National Guard, Saeed was involuntarily discharged for failing to complete the initial entry requirements. He allegedly told undercover FBI agents he spent a year and a half in the U.S. military because he did it for the training. I wanted to train so I know what I'm doing. I know how they think, how they act. I wanted to get military training before I just go somewhere. I'm fully dedicated. During multiple interactions where that were either audio or video recorded, Saeed allegedly described his desire to engage in jihad, either by traveling to the ISIS-held territory overseas or by carrying out an attack in the United States. On July 18th, FBI agents executed a search warrant for Saeed's phone by conducting a covert search of the device when Saeed provided it to personnel with the Michigan Army Guard before boarding military aircraft. During the search, FBI agents found Facebook messages in Arabic between Saeed and another user. Saeed reportedly told the user, "I want to go for jihad. Talk to me on Telegram." Agents then found that Saeed was a member of multiple channels on Telegram containing videos and images with ISIS flags. In August of 2024, undercover agents introduced someone to Saeed claiming to be an associate of theirs who was actually what the affidavit referred to as an FBI confidential human source, a CI. Okay. The undercover agent told Saeed this person had connections to ISIS, could help him travel to an ISIS-held territory abroad. During an in-person recorded meeting on August 1st, Saeed told the undercover FBI agents he was fed up with this country and forbidden stuff everywhere. So by God, I want to go for jihad, go fight among the Muslims and raise the word of God, and that's it. My last intention is martyrdom for the sake of God. He wanted to be a martyr. When the CI told Saeed if he traveled overseas for jihad, he would die or could die, he reportedly responded, "Exactly, even if I martyr, this is the goal. Martyrdom is the goal. It's either victory or martyrdom." He bragged that he could assemble and disassemble an AR M4 with his eyes closed. He played a video on his phone showing him performing a whatever Bayah pledge of loyalty to the Caliph of ISIS. He allegedly said he said that he and the agent could attempt to enter the gate leading with his military ID. How did he keep his military ID if he was discharged? If he was involuntarily discharged, how did he have a military ID card? Or attacking the guards or military personnel, we could just take them out at the door or at the gate and make our way in. You wanted to travel to Egypt to fight? Of course, I'll be going to fight, but how many soldiers will I kill? Because they're going to be doing some real damage, to the military bases there. Again, he's talking about his military ID card. How in the hell did he have a military ID card if he'd been discharged? They take that stuff. He continued, I was going to do this a long time ago by myself. I went to the thrift store. I bought 7 magazines, fully loaded, 300 rounds. I bought these and I'm going to get an AR rifle. He further explained he tried to purchase a rifle, but he wasn't able because he was only 17. So he'd been planning this for a couple of years. He was planning this before he went. Oh man, this guy's got issues. So he discussed his views of ISIS, saying, growing up as a kid, I swear to God, I used to think that ISIS was the worst type of people. Well, growing up, you were right. They are the worst type of people. I used to think that they were horrible. I used to tell my friends that ISIS, don't represent Islam. They are terrorists and whatnot, propaganda. All I've seen was propaganda. And when I look at them from the other perspective, I swear to God, just looking at their face, beards, they're reading the Quran, they're doing this, such and such, helping the people. When ISIS controlled part of Iraq and part of Syria, right? And when they had the capital in Mosul, people used to leave their shops open. You go to pray, come back, and nothing was stolen. The Mazids, I guess he's talking about the mosque, would be full and everyone would help each other out. And then they took over. Of course, they said, oh, we don't like the Dwala. We don't like ISIS, such and such, because if you say, oh, we like ISIS, they're going to kill you straight up. Wait a minute, if ISIS was so cool over there, and ISIS was running everything, and everybody felt comfortable with ISIS, so comfortable with ISIS in charge, they left their shops open while they went to the mosque. In November, Saeed met with 2 FBI agents at work discussing how they'd prepare for the attack. Preparing is 2 ways: get familiar with the guns, go to the range, practice. They're not hard. It's not really hard. You just aim and shoot. He drove the undercover agents around TACOM, showing an entrance to the base and the storage unit. There's a storage unit. We can even store guns and stuff there. Wanted to use Molotov cocktails in the attack. So if we wanted to shoot them, go inside, we throw Molotov because it's fire right. And one cool thing, if you mix Molotov with a component, napalm. Yep, exactly. It'll burn if it get on you. If you want to F it up even more, add a different component, it'll melt your skin. Molotov by itself will catch fire, but if you turn pretty quick, but like you said, if you add, it becomes napalm, which means it'll stay on fire. Well, I think I know what that first component is, but I'm not going to say it since they left that out. Hey, Digi, I'm sitting here thinking about your grandmother, and there. We'll all pray that she gets better soon. You know, Wow, this guy's an idiot, 19-year-old idiot. And what he's describing here is, he's talking about going to, about 3 or 4 people doing an attack on an army installation, like they were in a movie. They were Delta Force going in. Yeah. They're looking for uniforms, bought glass bottle drinks, and the other ones and the other components for Molotov cocktails. Okay. This guy, it sounds like they've got enough to convict him. And in the conviction, he'll I hope there's at least 7 or 8 charges, and he's done sentenced to maximum time, and each is not to be served concurrently but consecutively. Let him rot in prison. Honestly, I'd rather see him face the firing squad. I'd rather see him executed. Let him die. Let him go see his Muhammad and see if he gets his 72 virgins or if he gets 72 Virginians. In cases like this, I'd even go so far as to say, let's make it a public execution. Get that out on video and release it. What's wrong, Spanky? Oh, did you get warm laying right there? Okay. Spanky was just laying on next to me asleep, and then he all of a sudden jumped up to nowhere. But yeah, this guy's he's dead meat as far as I'm concerned. Evidently, today is the anniversary of the introduction of a certain cartoon character, which is fabulously wealthy. Made many people fabulously wealthy. This, I'm going to turn the audio off on this. In 1928. You see who this is? The very first film of Mickey Mouse. It's amazing. According to the article of this, the name of this is, as you can see here, Plane Crazy. According to the article going along with this, when they did the private showing to try to get this out and about, it was a flop. They did not like Mickey Mouse. And somewhere along the line in this little feature is Minnie Mouse. So Mickey and Minnie brought out 1928. That's amazing. Get along doing anything here with cartoons. You can make anything happen. Steal the feathers off of it. There's Minnie. Okay. I think I've played enough of this. But yeah, you want to look this up and watch it for yourselves. It's Plain Crazy. And I'll give you the chance to watch it with the sound on. Whoops. Hit the wrong button. I hate it when I do that. Russia arrested a lot of Americans. Of course, one of the more infamous ones was that Griner woman or Griner individual. Some say he's a man playing WNBA, but okay. For having illegal substances in her luggage. And we traded out a spy mass murderer for it. Well, now we've arrested someone. Harvard scientist facing deportation is charged with smuggling. I'm not going to try to pronounce her first name. Petrova, a Russian-born Harvard scientist, has been charged with smuggling biological material into the United States. An escalation in the case has already raised legal and civil rights questions over her detention. She's not a U.S. citizen. She's here on a visa. I will say this again, and I don't care who this makes angry or what they say about me. If you are not a United States citizen, you do not have civil rights protected under the Constitution. You are here as a guest. You can be removed for any reason we so deem, that the country so deems. And yes, I don't care if you don't have First Amendment rights. You don't have the right to stand out and say anything you want to say if you're in the United States on a visa. You don't have the right to carry a firearm if you're in the United States in the visa. You don't have Fourth Amendment rights on protection against search and seizure. You don't have these rights if you're here on a visa. As has already been decided by the Supreme Court, if you're in the United States on a visa, the Secretary of State can, and amongst other people, can take your visa, tear it up, throw it away, and deport your ass. For whatever reason they so deem, whether they want to make the true reason public or not, they don't have to say why you're being deported. Because you are a guest in the country on a visa. Federal prosecutors allege that Petrova 30 violated U.S. Customs law by failing to declare preserved frog embryos in her luggage when she arrived at Boston Logan International Airport on February 16th from Paris. She now faces a charge of smuggling goods into the United States. According to the criminal complaint under seal this week and made public on Wednesday, a CBP canine alerted officers to Petrova's duffel bag, which was later searched. Officers found clawed frog embryos, paraffin slides, and other samples. When first questioned, Petrova denied carrying any biological material. After being shown a message on her phone advising her to make sure to get permission, etc., like that link I sent the Leon group chat about frog embryos, because TSA went through my bags at customs in Boston. She then acknowledged the samples, asked whether she knew they had to be cleared. She responded she was not sure. I don't know with you guys, but I watch this YouTube channel, this Dangerous channel, Danger something or another. And mostly it's about Australia and their customs. They do have episodes about Canadian customs, and they've got some episodes about American customs, United States customs. But most of their stuff is dealing with Australia. And it's quite clear on the declaration forms what is and is what you do and don't have to declare. And they give samples, examples. This woman is a scientist. She's not an 8th grade dropout. She's intelligent. She knew that frog legs and eggs, frog embryos, are a biological component. She knew that they were biological material. Petrova describes the incident differently. There she is. They asked if I had any biological samples in my luggage. I said yes. She previously told NBC News from detention in Louisiana. She described confusion over customs procedures and a lengthy interrogation by Customs and Border Protection officers. Nobody knew what was happening to me. I didn't have any contact, not to my lawyer, not to Leon, not to anyone. She said, referring to Dr. Leon Pushkin, a principal research officer at Harvard's Department of Systems Biology, and her manager and mentor. The next day, they didn't say what would happen. I was waiting in a cell. The document notes that Petrova told Customs and Border Patrol that she protested against Russian Federation and expressed fear about returning. She asked to go to France, where she held a valid, well, I have no clue what that is, Schengen visa, but instead later was taken to ICE custody, where she remains detained at Richwood Correctional Center in Monroe, Louisiana. During the habeas hearing on Tuesday in Vermont federal court, U.S. District Judge Christina Reese questioned the legality of the government's actions. Where does Customs and Border Patrol officer have the authority on his or her own to revoke a visa? I don't see anything about a customs violation. Now, again, I'm watching a TV show about customs agents in the United States, in Canada, and Australia. And in almost every show, there's somebody having their visa revoked and they're sent back to their last place, to their place of origin. They're not given a trial. They don't go before a judge. The customs agents go through their supervisors. They've got their little food chain they go through. And visas are revoked. Permission to enter the United States is revoked. Permission to enter Australia or Canada is revoked. It happens. I wonder. I wonder about this. She is Chief United States District Judge for Vermont. She's the first judge to be first female to judge to serve in the District of Vermont. And Patrick Leahy, okay, she's an Obama nominee. She was nominated by Barack Obama in 2009. Okay. And Leaky Leahy announced that he had recommended her. So right there's two strikes against this woman. Leaky Leahy recommended her to Obama, and Obama nominated her. She is probably a DEI. No, in Obama, she was a DEI appointment, but definitely a political appointment. So there's that. So she is obviously, I mean, come on. You know, you can learn things about the legal system by watching television. And watching shows that actually show how government agencies work. Yeah, Obama Nama Shingalanga. Obama Nama nominee, yeah. Petrova's attorney, Gregory Romanowski, oh, geez, another Sirlik name here, argued the government acted beyond its authority. What in the devil's going on here? Beyond its authority, there's no corresponding ground of admissibility. You cannot be found inadmissible because of a customs violation. Yes, you can. The government claimed to base its decision on a separate rule requiring travelers to have valid documentation. Reese appeared skeptical and pointed out that Petrova made it all the way to luggage before being stopped. She questioned whether undeclared biological samples alone could justify revoking a visa. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Having too much money, having undeclared money in your possession is sufficient reason to revoke a visa. If you do not fill out your declaration paperwork properly, your visa can be revoked for anything. If you, because that is considered perjury, you are signing that thing under an oath that you're telling the truth. And anything that you misstate off of that can be enough reason for you to have your visa revoked. Romanowski then added that Petrova was willing to go to Paris, but the government didn't let her. Judge Reese has scheduled a tentative bail hearing for May 28th and asked for a further briefing on whether the court had jurisdiction to release her. I don't understand. The stupidity. Now, this isn't the whole story. There's something else going on here. Behind the scenes. There's something going on here behind the scenes. There's got to be. But legality-wise, yes. Anybody can have their visa revoked for damn near any reason. And Customs and Border Patrol at the customs can revoke your visa and send you on your way back for not filling out your declaration correctly, for not failing to declare items in your possession. And that includes U.S. citizens entering or leaving the country. You know, for a long time there, the FBI had agents at airports looking for people leaving the country with more than $10,000 in their possession. And if you say, "Yeah, I've got more than 10 grand," they can't stop you. You just have to declare it. This isn't like if you're driving down the highway and the cops pull you over and they find you've got $10,000 in your suitcase and they confiscate your money, declaring it drug money or some nonsense like that. And then you've got to go to court to fight to get your money back. But you do have to declare that you got the money. I was awful ignorant of that law when I drove down to Florida from Ohio. When I drove down here, I had about 12 grand in my cash in my pocket. Well, between cash and bank checks, I had about 12 grand. I had 5 or 6 grand in cash, and another 7 or 8 grand in with the bank draft that I was going to use to open up my bank account down here. But yeah, the local bank made me mad. I went to open up the bank account using the bank draft and cash, and they told me to take 14 days before I could touch the bank draft. I was like, what? What do you mean 14 days? Yeah, it's going to take 14 days. We got to make sure that check clears. This is a bank draft. This isn't a personal check. This is a bank draft from a bank in Ohio. How dare you say it's going to take 14 days before I can touch my money? So I went right next door, literally right next door, shared parking lot to the credit union. Credit union said you can have immediate access to half of it, and the other half you can have access to in 5 business days. That I could live with. But don't tell me it's going to be 14 working days for me to have access to any of my money that I'm using to open up a bank account with. Moving, even as a military man, is expensive. You shell out a lot of money when you're moving. Especially since I was coming back from overseas, and 90% of my stuff was coming back in hold baggage, and it would be 4 to 6 weeks until I got it. And the only clothes and such I had was what I could fit in one suitcase that I brought back from Germany with me. Yeah. And most of that was uniforms. Anyway, this judge is ignorant. She really is ignorant. She's got no freaking clue. I want to keep an eye on this one too. Now, I didn't put this, and speaking of ignorant and stupid judges, oh, I need to check on this. Where is... There it is. Okay, it's not going to be for another hour. All right. Let me post a link here because I'm going to be listening to this. And it's kicking off in 53 minutes, and I will not be streaming in 53 minutes. This is that is a link to the Dispatch. Okay. They will be um, broadcasting live from the Supreme Court 14th Amendment hearings, Trump's birthright citizenship. And actually, I thought it was going to be starting now. Yeah, I thought they were posting Eastern time, but they actually were posting Central. So I was hoping that they would be starting already, but anyway, it's called the Dispatch Updates. And right now, I mean, it's an hour out, 51 minutes out, and there's 172 of us sitting in their waiting room for the stream to start. But if you want to be listening to the Supreme Court arguing over the 14th Amendment and whether or not the birthright citizenship applies to children born of people who are illegally in the country, this will be the time. This will be the thing to listen to today. Once again, I will state my position on it. That answer is no. And the basis for that process is real simple. An individual goes in and robs a bank. They steal a bunch of monies. They take that money, they deposit it into a bank account under their son's name. Does the son automatically get to keep that money? No. The son does not get to keep that money. Why? Because that money was stolen. Just as that child's birth in the United States was stolen, the parents were not legally in the country. And since the parents were not legally in the country, any rights, any citizenship would be stolen. They were not legally theirs. I hope that type of situation is argued before the Supreme Court. I think it's totally wrong that a child born of illegals is given citizenship. And you'd be extremely hard pressed to convince me otherwise. Citizenship in the United States is not something to be taken lightly or for granted. Citizenship in any country is not something to be taken lightly or for granted. Now, I personally, I don't want citizenship in another country. I wouldn't want Canadian or UK citizenship. I wouldn't want Irish or Dutch citizenship. I don't even want to have have my names on the book for a Native American tribe out of Ohio. I don't want it. I wouldn't want it. I am a citizen of the United States of America. The only other citizenships I would want to claim, and it would be citizenship of the state of Ohio and the state of Florida. Ohio, because I was born and grew up there, and I still have a deep love for that state. No matter how screwed up it's gotten over the past couple of decades. And Florida, because I've lived here now since 1984, the January 4th, 1984 is when I moved to Florida. And I've been here since. And the part of Florida I live in, I really have a love for it. The wife and I were discussing that the other day. How much, and this part of Florida is losing a lot of its natural forest. They're being torn down and condos and crap going up. I miss having all the trees around where I live because they're being torn down and Dollar Generals going up and express lubes and gas stations with huge mini marts inside. I miss having all the woods around my house. But I don't own that property, unfortunately, so there's nothing I can do about it. Okay. Remember that judge in Wisconsin? Judge Hannah Duggan files motion to dismiss federal obstruction case citing judicial immunity. Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Duggan, indicted on charges of helping an undocumented illegal immigrant elude federal authorities, filed a motion on May 14th to dismiss her case citing judicial immunity and federal overreach by prosecutors. The motion coming less than 24 hours after Duggan was indicted by a federal grand jury sets the stage for a legal battle ahead. This is going to be interesting here because judicial immunity says that basically that she cannot be prosecuted for her actions or sued or anything for her actions as a judge, legal and things that she's doing in her job as a judge. Okay. Remember, this is the woman that misdirected federal ICE agents, misdirected them, and before, with a courtroom full of people, including the witnesses and the victim, that this illegal was being tried for, sent the illegal and his defense attorney out through the back door, down a private corridor to a private exit. So they could get out of the courthouse before and be gone before the ICE agents could arrest him. What she did was not part of her judicial authority. That her claim of judicial immunity should be laughed out of court. It should be absolutely laughed out of court. That is her misdirecting agents, and if I remember correctly, yelling and screaming at them. And then in the middle of the trial, with witnesses and victims there, send the illegal and their defense attorney out the back door, a secured back door where it's not open to the public, to escape. That's not part of her job as a judge. It's absolutely ridiculous. Immunity and federalism issues must be resolved swiftly because the government has no basis in law to prosecute her. They're not prosecuting her as a judge. They're prosecuting her as an individual. Because she took steps outside of her role as a judge. Her actions had absolutely nothing to do with her being a judge. It had her acting as a free-born individual, not as a federal representative. The motion makes two arguments that Judge Duggan cannot be prosecuted because she entitled judicial immunity in her official acts, and prosecutors were exceeding federal authority in the case. Judges are entitled to absolute immunity for their judicial acts without regard to the motive for which those acts are allegedly performed. Judicial acts. She was not performing a judicial act. Telling these people to go out the back door so that they could not be arrested was not a judicial act. There's nothing there. In addition, the motion says prosecution violates the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, which covers states' rights. It argues the charges are federal overreach. As courts have decided before, this is not, this. Remember the courts decide that and I argued against the court decision that Texas couldn't put up a barrier along the Rio Grande to prevent illegals from coming into the state. She didn't have authority over these illegals. That is a federal government, and these were federal ICE agents that she misdirected. She stepped outside of her bounds as a judge. Duggan is being represented by 4 law firms. So far, 7 attorneys are listed on federal court file. New to her team is well-known defense attorney Dean Strange, who is featured in Netflix documentary Making a Murderer. Former U.S. Solicitor General Paul Clements on the team. The case is assigned U.S. District Judge Lynn Adelman. So who is District Judge Lynn Adelman? What can we find out about her? Who appointed her? Oh, him. Okay. Wikipedia. This is something I actually trust Wikipedia about. And he's a Democrat member of the Wisconsin State Senate. Okay. Nominated by Bill Clinton. Enough said. It is truly a shame. It is truly a shame that when we go to even look at court cases, that we have to look up the judge and who appointed them and what their past records were politically. Because that's going to tell us a lot about how their cases are going to get judged. That is an absolute crying shame that we can do that. And we're going to be right more times than not. So most likely, depending on going up to, most likely it's going to go to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. Another judge escorted 5 of the 6 federal officers to the Chief Judge's chambers to show him the warrant. That's when Dugan directed Flores Ruiz and his attorney to leave her courtroom by a door reserved by jurors. That the juror door leads out to the same hallway as the main door. One federal agent was still in the hall, so Flores Ruiz and his attorney leave and follow him. Agents eventually chased him down outside the courthouse and apprehended him, according to the criminal complaint. His arrest is part of the federal crackdown. Okay, so all right. That means either I misremembered an earlier article, because I could have swore the earlier article I read said that he went out a private door. So I'm going to trust the USA Today article from yesterday on this and stand corrected. The juror door, they let him out the juror door to the same hallway. Well, at least the federal agents were smart enough to leave one of them to sit there and try to keep an eye on what was going on. But yeah, this judge, she's got nothing. She's got absolutely nothing to cover her ass here, as far as I'm concerned. No, and I gotta be honest with you guys. I run about 50-50 on how these things actually get ruled on. I'm about 50-50 on them. So it's a coin flip as to how this is going to go. I know how I want to see it go, but considering the judges at this point involved, I see the federal government I see this going all the way to Supreme Court. I really do. Because regardless of how it is, the appeals court, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals rules on it, I see it going to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court then making a decision. So this judge may never see the inside of the jail. But and she may keep her judgeship as long as she wants, because it's going to take a little while for this to get through the judicial system. But yeah, if I just know how I think it should go, then that's all I can say about it, guys. I've spent too much time on some of these things. I won't have time to get into the 14th Amendment issue. One thing I recommend if you are interested, here's something we do want to talk, something else I can't talk about here real quick. This popped up this morning. Come on. Thank you. I want to share this. Okay. This came up from Campus Reform just before I started the stream this morning. Brown University threatens student for exposing its DEI bureaucracy. A Brown University student was threatened with disciplinary action after publishing information about the university's spending on DEI programs. University accused the student of disassembling false information and violating its code of conduct. It's amazing how they're going after this kid, but they've been, the Palestinian protesters. Yeah, well, that they're not violating the student code of conduct. School officials threatened retaliation after the student published information how much money the institution spends on DEI. Sophomore Alex Shia, Shieh, posted on April 6th on X that he received a letter from Brown University administration alleging it dissembled false information disseminated false information on a website he had created online that tracks the extent of DEI at Brown. Russell Carey just threatened me with disciplinary actions for saying DEI cost Brown $510 million in federal funds, calling this claim false. Then the White House confirmed it. Here's their letter. You decide who looks ridiculous. And let me make that a little bit larger. Okay, well, I'm scrolling the wrong way, aren't I? Yes, I am. Come on. Oh, I see what happened. All right. Dear Alex, it's come to the university's attention you have played a leading role in publishing and promoting a webpage that includes a statement, meet the DEI bureaucrats who lost Brown University $510 million in federal funds. And further asserts AI flagged 49 Brown University employees potentially holding illegal DEI roles. This is part of the Bloat at Brown website that you have publicly asserted was created by you and whose content you have described as directly managed by you. As you know, publishing and promoting false information is inconsistent with the university code of conduct that you agreed to abide by and uphold as a member of the Brown community. Oh, publishing and promoting false information. That's interesting. How many of your instructors are publishing and promoting false information every day in their classrooms? Aren't they violating the code of conduct when they lie about the current administration, when they tell lies, falsehoods about supporters and Republicans and conservatives? That's interesting. All right. So I'm skipping down. I am therefore writing to put you on notice that your statements on the Bloat at Brown website are false. At this time, Brown has not received any notification from the federal government. Oh, of the loss of funding you have claimed, and Brown has made it clear in public statements, nor has Brown received any notification from the federal government that staff members you've listed as suspect on your website are responsible for any potential or actual loss of federal funding, or their positions are potentially illegal. If you have used AI searches to reach your personal opinion about the latter, you should make that clear. However, otherwise, you should remove all false statements from your website immediately, and any failure to do so will be subject to appropriate action to enforce the code of conduct. Sincerely, Russell C. Carey, Executive Vice President, Planning and Policy, Interim Vice President for Campus Life. So let's go down here. Get past all this. All right. Despite Kerry's assertion that Brown's federal money was not being stripped, the Daily Caller reported on April 3rd the Trump administration had planned to freeze $510 million in grants over the university's anti-Semitism response and DEI practices. The Trump administration has been pulling funds from other Ivy League schools, including the University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University. In a statement provided by Campus Reform, Brown University spokesman Brian E. Clark said that she had properly used data access through a university technology platform in creating his website. The website appeared to utilize information data which can only be obtained from non-public sources and systems. While we've seen many news reports frame this as a free speech issue, at the center of our review were questions to focus on improper use of non-public. Now, that's not what they said in that letter. There was nothing about that in that letter they sent them. So they're changing the basis that their complaint against the young man. Because remember, they said earlier that it was in the letter they sent that the complaint was about false information. I'm writing to put you on notice. Your statements on the Bloat at Brown websites are false. Okay. Responsible in treating members of the community fairly and respected, and false statements are not protected expression. I'm sorry, but now they're saying, well, nah, he got his information through private. Yeah. They're no longer saying that his information is false. Now they're saying, well, it's the way he gathered the information that we're got a problem with. Yeah, these schools have a problem when their stuff is being pointed out where they've done wrong, where their programs, their policies cost them money. $510 million, that's quite a shake. Remember here, we got Democrats in Congress upset over a $400 million airplane. So think how upset this university is about $510 million. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and go. I don't know if you can hear it, but my throat seems to be tightening up on me. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Digi, I'm going to keep your grandmother in my prayers. Everybody have a good day. Today is Thursday, isn't it? Yes, it is. Tomorrow's fun day stream. Even though we may end up talking about what happened at the Supreme Court for the 14th Amendment birthright citizenship hearing. But other than that, ladies and gents, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll be back tomorrow. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you are with. And have a good day. Later, all.